It was qualification day at the West Range. Early morning sun, dry wind, outlines held steady on the horizon, 800 meters out. The kind of day where most stayed quiet, not out of respect, but calculation. Everyone here wanted to prove something. She arrived late, not rushed, just quiet. A black windbreaker zipped to the throat, old boots worn to the sole, and a duffel that looked like it had been through more than rain. She said nothing when she checked in, just showed a laminated visitor's badge, handed over by an admin who didn't look twice. Civilian observer, the roster said. A few of the younger SEAL candidates glanced at her, then at each other. Someone smirked. She here for morale support? Another muttered. Range volunteer or someone's aunt? She walked to the bench behind the firing line, sat down alone, watched. Her hands rested in her lap, fingernails short. No jewelry. A slight tremor in one boot, not nerves, just energy stored too long. Nobody knew her name. They didn't ask. The lead instructor, Senior Chief Walker, barked through the safety protocol like it was muscle memory. Shot timers clicked, spotters lined up. The day began. She said nothing, made no move, just tracked each movement with eyes that didn't blink when the wind changed. By 09:30, the shots had started. 5 rounds. Reset. 10 rounds. Assess. Then someone noticed she was still sitting there, still watching. One of the candidates, young, tall, already talking like he'd made it, chuckled as he passed by her bench. You waiting on someone, ma'am? Or just sightseeing? She looked up at him for half a second, didn't answer, didn't smile, then looked back at the range. It was enough to make him pause, just for a beat. But he kept walking. The wind picked up again. A gust. Sharp. Cross range. She watched the targets shift slightly in the breeze. Didn't flinch. Didn't take notes. Just breathed once, long and slow, like someone counting distance by heart. And in the next hour, something would happen that would leave every candidate silent, and one instructor frozen in mid-sentence. By mid-morning, the mood on the range had turned confident. The candidates had warmed up. Targets were dropping. A few tight groupings drew nods from the instructors. One man nailed a 10 ring at 600 meters and patted himself on the chest like he just won something permanent. She stayed seated. Same position. Same bench. A clipboard volunteer walked by with water bottles, slowed near her. You good, ma'am? She nodded once. Didn't ask for anything. Didn't say thank you. He hesitated, looked at her boots, worn flat, black rubber cracking at the edge. Then glanced at the patch on her bag. A faded rectangle, threadbare, something that had once been tan. Didn't mean anything to him. He walked on. Back on the firing line, someone had started making jokes again. Maybe we should give her a shot. Let her see how it feels. Probably never even held a rifle. Another added, laughing low. Just wants to say she touched one. The instructor didn't stop them. Not yet. She shifted slightly. Just enough to let her hand rest on the strap of the duffel beside her. One edge of the flap lifted in the breeze. Inside, just for a moment, something metallic glinted under the canvas. It wasn't a weapon. It was a coin. Matte black. Etched with a grid coordinate and a number, 071. She covered it with one motion. The coin disappeared back into the dark. But someone had seen it. One of the junior instructors, a quiet sniper school grad, only 2 years off deployment, had been walking past. He stopped. Not close. Just enough to glance at the duffel. Then at her. Then down at the ground. His eyes narrowed. Not in suspicion, in recognition. Like a shape he hadn't seen in years had just entered his frame again. He opened his mouth to speak. Didn't. Just kept walking. She didn't look at him. But something in her jaw shifted. A single clench. Then still again. And behind her silence, the wind kept changing. The lunch break came late. Most of the candidates had already cycled through the long-range table. A few were pleased with themselves. Others cursed under their breath, folding up score sheets and swearing the wind threw them off. No one remembered the woman on the bench. Not really. She was still there. Still silent. By now, a few had stopped glancing at her altogether. Background noise. A quiet figure on the edge of the range who, for all they knew, was waiting for a ride. But then one voice brought it back into focus. Ramsey. Loud. Third rotation. The kind of guy who'd already started talking like he was due a trident, even though he hadn't made it halfway through. He pointed his protein bar at her as he passed. Hey, you want a turn after lunch? Might be your last shot at range day. A few of the others chuckled. He kept going. I mean, you've been sitting there like a statue all morning. Gotta be boring watching real shooters work. She didn't respond, didn't flinch. He walked closer, arms wide, voice theatrical. Come on, we'll even spot you a sandbag. Or does your yoga class start at noon? That got a bigger laugh. Even one of the instructors cracked a smile, brief, but visible. Still, she didn't look at him. She just shifted her boots slightly, tapping it once against the concrete. Rhythmic, measured. He took another step forward. You know what? Screw it, he said. Let's make it fun. Let her take a shot. 1 round. She misses, she buys chow. Fair? The instructor, Walker, raised an eyebrow. You volunteering your rifle? Ramsey shrugged. Why not? She won't hit anything. He turned back to her, holding the bolt open on his MK-11. You ever shot one of these, ma'am? It's not like what they show in the movies. She stood. 1 movement. Clean. She picked up the duffel with her left hand, slung it over one shoulder, then reached out with her right palm open. Ramsey blinked, laughed, then handed over the rifle like a toy, motioning toward the firing mat. Be my guest. The rest of the candidates started to gather. Some leaned on tripods. A few stood with arms crossed. Someone whispered, This is gonna be a disaster. She walked to the line without hesitation. No fanfare. No jokes. Just calm. The instructor raised his voice. Targets set at 900 meters. Steel silhouette, partial cover. Winds picking up again from the left. She nodded once. Dropped to prone. No padding. No sandbag. Just elbows and bone. Then she reached into the duffel and pulled out a soft cloth wrap, folded perfectly, and unrolled it. Inside was a scope. Custom. Old. She removed Ramsey's optic and replaced it without asking. No wasted motion. Then she checked the rifle. Once. Briefly. Didn't chamber. Just adjusted the sling. The entire line had gone quiet now. No more jokes. Walker stepped forward, arms crossed, watching her through narrowed eyes. The younger instructor, the one who'd seen the coin, was watching too. No smile on his face now. She exhaled once, then spoke, for the first time all day. Spot me at wind call 1.8. Walker frowned. She didn't wait for confirmation. She chambered around, clicked the safety, then pressed her cheek to the stock like someone remembering how it felt, not learning it. When she squeezed the trigger, the rifle didn't sound any different. But the air around the group did. It was a hit. Center steel. Cold. The clang echoed across the valley like a bell someone forgot to ring for years. She didn't smile. Just reset the bolt. And hit it again. 900 meters. Crosswind. No warm-up. Ramsey's mouth hung slightly open. One of the spotters whispered something under his breath. A number. 2 rounds. Dead center. She stood. Ejected the mag, cleared the chamber. Reattached his scope. Handed the rifle back. Thanks. Then walked back to the bench. Didn't sit this time. Just stood there, eyes on the line. Ramsey turned toward the instructor, but Walker wasn't looking at him. Walker was staring at her, at the bag, at the old cloth wrap now tucked back into her duffel. And for a long moment, he didn't say a word. Then, finally, he spoke. Not loud. Just enough for the younger instructor to hear. I've seen that wrap before. The range didn't feel the same. After her shot, no one spoke above a murmur. Even Ramsey kept his mouth shut. She was back at the bench, standing now. Arms folded. Eyes forward. Walker hadn't moved. He was watching her, not out of confusion, but recognition. Something in the way she adjusted the sling. The way she stood still and let the wind speak first. One of the junior instructors approached him. You know her? Walker's eyes didn't leave the bench. I saw that wrap before. Not on this continent. The instructor raised an eyebrow. Walker walked back into the admin tent. Pulled up the roster. Dan C. Civilian Observer. JSOC Liaison Verified. No service branch listed. Walker stared at the screen. Then walked back out. Slower this time. She hadn't moved. He stopped a few feet away. You shoot left? She looked at him once. Used to shoot right. Injury? Second round. Too low. Still made the shot. He nodded. Didn't press. Didn't need to. The name came back to him now, not from a briefing, but a field story. Someone held a rooftop. No backup. Shattered wrist. Now he knew. He turned away. And the weight in the air got heavier. It wasn't loud. No announcement. No confrontation. It happened when the guest observer, a retired SEAL team commander, arrived late and walked past the bench. He barely glanced at her, then froze, stopped mid-stride, looked again, then walked straight over, said nothing at first. She nodded. That was all it took. He stood taller, stepped back, then turned to the instructors. That's not a civilian. Walker looked over, didn't argue. The commander continued, voice low but clear. She trained our top sniper cadre in 15. Her name doesn't show up, but every guy who made it back from that tour carried one of her adjustments in their scope. Ramsey took a step back. Someone else whispered, She trained SEALs? Walker gave a slow nod. She didn't just train them. She corrected them. No one spoke after that. The only sound was the wind moving across the range, and the faint echo of a shot no one would forget. The rhythm of the range shifted. It didn't happen all at once, but slowly, man by man, voice by voice. The laughter stopped. The posturing quieted. You could feel the change before anyone admitted it. She was back at the bench. Same position, same silence. But now no one looked past her. They looked at her. Not directly, not for long, just long enough to understand they'd been wrong. Ramsey didn't return to the firing line. He stood near the gear table, arms crossed, staring at the dirt. The instructor team reset the steel targets. The range resumed. But there was less noise, less commentary. Every trigger pull that followed felt slightly heavier. A few of the younger candidates asked quiet questions among themselves. Is she active? No way. Not on the list. Was that a .308 grouping? Did you see her cheek weld? Like she never left. Nobody had answers. Walker stood with arms folded by the tower, watching her without speaking. Eventually, she stepped forward again. Not to fire. She approached the gear table where her bag still rested. Slowly, she unzipped the flap and took something out. A cloth. She knelt beside one of the newer rifles, one that had been misfiring, and without asking, began disassembling the bolt group. No one stopped her. She didn't look around for permission. She just worked. Hands methodical. Eyes scanning. The kind of motion that comes from solving problems in field light, in wind, under pressure. The kind of motion instructors don't teach, they borrow. One by one, candidates started drifting over. Someone whispered, She's cleaning it. Someone else added, I think she's fixing it. Walker walked up behind her but didn't interrupt. She looked up once. This extractor's too smooth. It's slipping. Let me dress the edge. He nodded. Do it. She took a small file from her kit, sharpened the angle, cleaned it with a cloth that had numbers stitched into the hem, too faded to read. When she handed it back, it fired clean on the first shot. The shooter looked back at her, blinking. Ma'am. She was already walking away. No speech. No lesson. Just function. By 14:30, she was seated again, alone at the edge of the line. Not isolated. Respected. Walker pulled a coin from his pocket, one of his own, SEAL instructor issue, and walked over to where she sat. She didn't reach for it, so he placed it quietly on the bench beside her. She looked down, then back up. Just one nod. A real one this time. He said nothing. Turned. Walked away. And across the field, a few of the candidates stood a little straighter. A few hands moved to adjust rifle straps without being told. None of them knew her name. But none of them would forget her. By late afternoon, the sun had dipped behind the ridge. Shadows stretched longer across the range, pulling between the targets and the gravel path like they were dragging the day down with them. She was gone. No one saw her leave. No sound of a zipper. No crunch of boots. Just gone, the same way she arrived. No goodbye. No nod. No glance back at the line she had once owned in silence. But something had shifted. Walker felt it first. He came out of the admin tent with a clipboard in hand and paused when he saw the bench. Her bench. Empty. He looked around, expecting to see her standing just off the side, maybe adjusting her bag or watching the last rounds of the day. But there was nothing. Just the bench. And something left behind. A square of cloth, folded neatly. Same worn edges. Same fraying thread. It was the wrap she'd used earlier, the one from her old kit. On top of it, a single round, unfired, hand-loaded, black tip, marked with 2 initials inked by hand on the casing. CD. He didn't touch it. He just stared, then exhaled through his nose, the kind of breath that isn't just about lungs. The kind you release when something finds its way out of you that you didn't know you'd been carrying. By 1700, the line had started to clear. Most of the gear was packed. Conversations were low. No jokes now. Just murmurs and rifle bags. Then the youngest candidate, Morales, still new to the range, sat on the same bench where she had waited. Not for show. Just sat. Same posture. Same hands in his lap. Same stillness. Walker noticed. He walked over. You good? Morales nodded. Yes, Senior Chief. Walker was quiet a moment. You watched her close today? Morales looked down. I tried not to. But yeah. Walker glanced out at the field. The wind had picked up again, moving the flags. She didn't say much, Morales added. She didn't have to. They stood there for a while, just letting the quiet settle. Finally, Morales looked up. Was she one of us? Walker thought about it, then shook his head. She was something we tried to become. Morales didn't respond. But when the next candidate walked by, tall, sure, talking too loud, Morales didn't move. He stayed. Still. Listening to the wind, just like she did. The next morning, the range opened early. Same setup. Same dust in the wind. New names on the clipboard. Another qualification day, just like the last. But the instructors moved quieter now. Not cautious, just more aware. Like something had passed through and left the ground different beneath their boots. Morales arrived first. No orders. No assignment. Just sat down on the second bench. Her bench. Same posture, elbows on knees, hands folded. He wasn't waiting for anyone. Just sitting. There was something tucked under the bench now. Someone must have left it there overnight. Walker was the one who found it. A small, cloth-wrapped square. Same wrap as yesterday, but folded around a single sheet of field paper. Faded grid lines. No heading. No name. Just handwriting. Coordinates in the top left corner. Below that, a sentence in pencil. One shot. One life. Everything else is wind. No signature. No rank. Walker didn't show it to anyone. He just slipped the note back under the cloth and left it where it was. By midday, one of the newer candidates sat beside Morales. Didn't speak. Just watched the wind roll down the line, same as he was. No one told them to sit there. No one explained the bench. But they understood. They called the range cold at 1600. Most packed up fast. The day was done. But Walker stood by the bench one last time, looking at the cloth, then at the empty spot beside it. He didn't salute, didn't speak. He just placed something beneath the wrap, the black coin he'd carried in his pocket for 15 years, then turned and walked back across the gravel, boots heavy, head quiet. Behind him, the bench sat empty again. But it never felt unoccupied.